story of Esau and Jacob, the birth of two nations. And behold, Isaac, the son of Abraham, took Rebekah to wife, and she was barren for many years. But Isaac entreated the Lord, and the Lord was gracious unto them. And Rebekah conceived, and the children struggled together within her womb. She inquired of the Lord, saying, If it be so, why am I thus? And the Lord said unto her, Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days were fulfilled, behold, twins were born unto her. The first came forth red, all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother, whose hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And the boys grew, and Esau became a cunning hunter, a man of the field. But Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Jacob takes Esau's birthright. And on a certain day, when Esau returned from the field, he was faint with hunger. And Jacob had made pottage. And Esau said unto Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. And Jacob said, Sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau, being weary, replied, Behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, Swear to me this day. And Esau sware unto him, and sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Jacob deceives Isaac. And it came to pass, when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim so that he could not see, he called Esau and said, My son, behold, I am old, I know not the day of my death. Now take thy weapons, thy quiver, and thy bow, and go out to the field and take me some venison, and make me savory meat, such as I love, that I may eat, and that my soul may bless thee before I die. And Rebekah heard Isaac's words, and she called Jacob and said, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau, saying, Bring me venison, that I may bless thee before the Lord before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice. Go to the flock, and fetch me 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth, and thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may bless thee before his death. But Jacob said, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father peradventure will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son, only obey my voice. And he went and fetched the goats, and his mother made savory meat. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of Esau, and put them upon Jacob. She also put the skins of the goats upon his hands, and upon the smooth of his neck. Then Jacob came unto his father, and said, My father. And Isaac said, Who art thou, my son? And Jacob said, I am Esau thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac said, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And Jacob said, Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. Isaac felt him and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hand are the hands of Esau. And he blessed Jacob, saying, God give thee the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren. And it came to pass, as soon as Jacob left, that Esau returned from hunting. He prepared venison, and brought it to his father, saying, Let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison, and brought it me, and I have blessed him? Yea, and he shall be blessed. When Esau heard these words, he cried with a great and bitter cry, Bless me, even me also, my father. And Isaac said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. And Esau said, Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and now he hath taken away my blessing. And Esau hated Jacob, saying in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. When Rebekah heard these words, she sent Jacob away to her brother Laban in Haran, Jacob's journey and God's promise. And Jacob departed, and at night he lay down to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder was set up on the earth, and the top reached to heaven. And the angels of God ascended and descended upon it. And the Lord stood above it, and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham thy father, and the God of Isaac. The land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. And in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Behold, I am with thee, and will keep thee. And Jacob awoke and said, Surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not. And he called the place Bethel. Jacob and Esau reconcile. And Jacob dwelt many years with Laban, and prospered greatly. He took wives and had many children. But the Lord commanded him to return to his father's land. And as Jacob journeyed home, he feared Esau, for he remembered his brother's wrath. And he sent messengers before him unto Esau, saying, Thy servant Jacob saith, I have sent to tell my Lord, that I may find grace in thy sight. And the messengers returned, saying, We came to thy brother Esau, and he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. Then Jacob was afraid, and divided his people into 2 companies, saying, If Esau come and smite one company, the other shall escape. And Jacob prayed, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, deliver me, I pray thee, from Esau's hand. And that night Jacob wrestled with a man until breaking of the day. And the man touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh, and it was out of joint. And the man said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And Jacob said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And the man said, Thy name shall no more be called Jacob, but Israel, for as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. The next day Esau came to meet him, and Jacob bowed to the ground 7 times. But Esau ran to him and embraced him, and they wept together. And thus Jacob and Esau were reconciled. And Jacob said, I have seen thy face, as though I had seen the face of God. And the brothers parted in peace. The end. What have you learned? Write it in the comment section below. The days of wickedness. In the days of old, when the earth was yet young, the sons of men multiplied upon its face, and their ways grew corrupt. The wickedness of man was great in the earth, and every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. The earth was filled with violence. For men turned away from the ways of the Lord, and sought after their own desires. The Lord looked upon the earth, and saw that it was defiled, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. It repented the Lord that he had made man, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I have made them, yet among the multitudes of the earth. There was one man who found grace in the eyes of the Lord. His name was Noah, a just man and perfect in his generations. Noah walked with God, and he was righteous in the midst of a perverse generation. The Lord spoke unto Noah, saying, The end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. The command to build the ark. God commanded Noah, Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Room shalt thou make in the ark, and shalt pitch it within and without with pitch. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make it of. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. A window shalt thou make to the ark, and in a cubit shalt thou finish it above. And the door of the ark shalt thou set in the side thereof. With lower, second, and third stories shalt thou make it. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth, to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life, from under heaven. And everything that is in the earth shall die. But with thee will I establish my covenant. And thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee. And of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female, of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind. 2 of every sort shall come unto thee, to keep them alive. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather to thee, and it shall be for food for thee and for them. Noah did according to all that God commanded him. He labored in faith, building the ark as the Lord had commanded. Many mocked him, for they had never seen rain, nor believed in the judgment of God. Yet Noah heeded not their scorn, but remained steadfast in his obedience. The gathering into the ark. When the time was appointed, the Lord spoke unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female. Of fowls also the air by sevens, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. Noah and his family, his wife, his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives, entered the ark. The beasts, the fowls, and every creeping thing came to Noah, as God had commanded. When all were gathered, the Lord shut them in. The floodgates of heaven opened. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. The rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. The waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth. All the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. All flesh that moved upon the earth perished, both of fowl and of cattle and of beast, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man. All in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land, died. The waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. The waters recede. God remembered Noah and every living thing that was with him in the ark. He made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. The fountains of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained. The waters decreased continually until the ark rested upon the mountains of Ararat in the 7th month. On the 17th day of the month, the waters continued to abate until the 10th month. In the 1st day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen. Noah opened the window of the ark and sent forth a raven, which went to and fro until the waters were dried. He also sent forth a dove, which found no rest for the sole of her foot, and returned unto him. After 7 days, he sent forth the dove again, and she returned with an olive leaf in her mouth. Noah knew the waters were abated. He waited yet another 7 days, and sent forth the dove again, and she returned not again unto him. In the 601st year of Noah's life, in the 1st month, the 1st day of the month, the waters were dried up from off the earth. Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. In the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was dried, a new beginning. God spoke unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee, of all flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. Noah went forth with his family and the creatures of the ark. He built an altar unto the Lord, and offered burnt offerings upon it. The Lord smelled a sweet savor, and said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living, as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. The covenant of the rainbow. God blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth. The fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. The Lord established his covenant with Noah and his seed, saying, I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. Thus did Noah and his sons go forth and dwell in the earth. And the generations of men began anew under the promise of God's mercy and faithfulness. What did this story teach you? Write it in the comment section below. And one more thing, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
The story of Queen Esther. Once upon a time, in the mighty Persian Empire, there was a young Jewish woman named Esther. She lived with her older cousin Mordecai, who had raised her like a daughter after her parents had passed away. The story of Esther unfolds in the ancient city of Susa, where King Xerxes ruled over a vast empire stretching from India to Ethiopia. The king, Xerxes, decided to hold a grand feast to display his power and wealth. At the feast, he asked his queen Vashti to come and show off her beauty to the guests. However, Vashti refused, as she did not want to be treated as a mere object. Angered by this, King Xerxes deposed her and sought a new queen. His servants suggested a beauty contest, where the most beautiful young women in the kingdom would be brought before him, and one would become his new queen. Esther, a humble and kind-hearted young woman, was among the women chosen to appear before the king. Although she was beautiful, she was also intelligent and wise beyond her years. Mordecai, her cousin, advised her to keep her Jewish heritage a secret during the contest, as the king had no knowledge of her background. When Esther entered the king's palace, she found favor with everyone she met, including the king's chief eunuch, Hegai, who was in charge of the women. Hegai gave her the best place in the harem and helped her prepare for her meeting with the king. When Esther finally appeared before King Xerxes, he was captivated by her beauty and wisdom. He crowned her queen and held a grand feast in her honor. While Esther lived in the palace, Mordecai, who worked at the king's gate, uncovered a plot to assassinate King Xerxes. He told Esther, who warned the king, saving his life. The king had the two conspirators punished, but Mordecai's name was not rewarded at that time. Meanwhile, the king's prime minister, Haman, a man of great power, became very upset when Mordecai refused to bow to him. Haman was a proud and arrogant man, and his ego was bruised. He decided to seek revenge on Mordecai, and in his anger plotted to destroy all the Jews in the kingdom. He convinced King Xerxes to issue a decree that on a certain day all Jews would be killed. When Mordecai heard of the decree, he was devastated. He sent word to Esther, urging her to go to the king and plead for the lives of her people. However, Esther knew that approaching the king without being summoned could result in her death, as the law dictated that no one could enter the king's presence uninvited unless the king extended his golden scepter. In a moment of courage, Esther replied to Mordecai, saying, "Go, gather all the Jews, and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days and nights. I will fast as well, and then I will go to the king, even though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish." After the 3 days of fasting, Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court of the king's palace. King Xerxes, upon seeing her, extended his golden scepter, sparing her life. Esther invited the king and Haman to a banquet, and at the banquet she revealed Haman's wicked plan to destroy the Jews. King Xerxes was furious. He ordered Haman to be executed, and the decree to kill the Jews was reversed. The Jews were saved, and Mordecai was promoted to a position of great power. To celebrate their deliverance, the Jewish people established the festival of Purim, a holiday still celebrated today, to honor the courage of Queen Esther and the salvation of the Jewish people. Esther's bravery, wisdom, and faith in God saved her people, and her story remains a powerful reminder of the importance of standing up for what is right, even in the face of danger.
The birth of a Nazerite. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years. And there was a certain man of Zorah, of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and bare not. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman, and said unto her,
Behold, now thou art barren, and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive, and bear a son. Now therefore beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine nor strong drink, and eat not any unclean thing, for lo, thou shalt conceive, and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head, for the child shall be a Nazerite unto God from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines.
The woman told her husband, and he entreated the Lord to send the angel again. The angel returned and repeated the command to raise the child as a Nazerite. And in time the woman bare a son, and called his name Samson. And the child grew, and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move him at times in the camp of Dan, Samson's feats and marriage. Samson went down to Timnath, and saw a Philistine woman, and desired her to wife. Though his parents objected, it was of the Lord, for he sought an occasion against the Philistines. As Samson went to Timnath, a young lion roared against him, and the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and he rent the lion as he would have rent a kid, though he had nothing in his hand. Later he found a swarm of bees and honey in the carcass of the lion, and he ate thereof. At the marriage feast, Samson posed a riddle.
Out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweetness.
But the Philistines, through deceit and the pleading of his wife, solved the riddle. In anger, Samson slew 30 men of Ashkelon to pay the wager. When he returned, his wife had been given to another man, Samson and the Philistines. In revenge, Samson caught 300 foxes, tied their tails together with firebrands, and let them loose in the Philistines' corn, destroying their crops. The Philistines retaliated by burning his wife and her father with fire. Then Samson smote them, hip and thigh, with a great slaughter. The Philistines came to Judah to seize Samson. The men of Judah bound him and brought him to them. But when he came to Lehi, the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and he broke his bands like flax. He found a new jawbone of an ass, and with it slew 1,000 men. And he said,
With the jawbone of an ass, heaps upon heaps, with the jaw of an ass have I slain 1,000 men.
Samson and Delilah later. Samson loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. The Philistine lords came to her and offered silver to find the secret of his strength. 3 times she asked Samson, and 3 times he gave her false answers. But she pressed him daily with her words, so that his soul was vexed unto death. At last he told her all his heart.
There hath not come a razor upon mine head, for I have been a Nazerite unto God from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me.
Delilah made him sleep upon her knees, and she called for a man to shave off the 7 locks of his head. And his strength went from him. The Philistines took him, put out his eyes, and bound him with fetters of brass. He did grind in the prison house, but the hair of his head began to grow again. Samson's final act. The Philistines gathered to offer a great sacrifice to Dagon their god, saying,
Our God has delivered into our hands Samson, our enemy.
They called for Samson to make sport before them. And Samson said unto the lad that led him by the hand,
Suffer me that I may feel the pillars whereupon the house standeth.
And Samson called unto the Lord,
O Lord God, remember me, I pray thee, and strengthen me, I pray thee only this once, O God, that I may be at once avenged of the Philistines for my 2 eyes.
And Samson took hold of the 2 middle pillars and bowed himself with all his might. And the house fell upon the lords and upon all the people. So the dead which he slew at his death were more than they which he slew in his life. Then his brethren and all the house of his father came down, took him, and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol in the burying place of Manoah his father. And he judged Israel 20 years.
Yeah, I'm a real man, to a real man. I wake up early, burn before the sun. A real man knows that the work's never done. Stand tall, head high, don't respect in my stride. I don't chase the hype, I let the truth be my guide. Never fold under pressure, I was built to withstand. A real man's legacy is what he leaves in the land. Don't need to flex, I keep it humble and wise. A real man's strength is in the love that he provides. Real man, stand up, take control, with honor in your heart and fire in your soul. Respect the path, never stray from the plan. That's the way to live life as a real man. Real man, stand up, take control, with honor in your heart and fire in your soul. Respect the path, never stray from the plan. That's the way to live life as a real man. I don't break my word, it's solid like gold. In a world full of lies, the truth's getting sold. I lift my brothers up, never tear them down. Real men build, we don't play the clown. Stay true to my roots, keep my family tight. A real man knows when to fight for what's right. I don't need the fame, I don't chase the bling. A real man's wealth is the...
In the days when the judges ruled over Israel, there was a certain man named Elkanah of Mount Ephraim. He was a good and godly man, and he had 2 wives. The name of one was Hannah, and the name of the other was Panina. Panina had children, but Hannah had no children. This sorrow weighed heavy upon Hannah's heart, for in Israel, children were considered a blessing and a sign of God's favor. Every year Elkanah went up from his city to worship and to sacrifice unto the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. There the priests, the sons of Eli, ministered before the Lord. When Elkanah offered his sacrifice, he gave portions to Panina and her children, but unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he loved her deeply, though the Lord had shut up her womb. Panina, seeing that Hannah had no children, provoked her sore and made her fret, mocking her year after year.
Look at all these children running around. They call me Mother. What do they call you, Hannah? Oh, right, nothing. Every year you sit there, staring at that empty lap while I carry blessings in both arms. Maybe if you prayed harder, the Lord would remember you too.
Each time they went up to the house of the Lord, Panina would taunt Hannah, and Hannah wept and did not eat. Her sorrow consumed her. Elkanah, seeing her grief, said,
Hannah, why weepest thou? And why eatest thou not? And why is thy heart grieved? Am not I better to thee than 10 sons?
One day after they had eaten and drunk in Shiloh, Hannah rose up and went to the temple of the Lord. There she was in bitterness of soul, and she prayed unto the Lord and wept sore. She vowed a vow and said,
O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but wilt give unto thine handmaid a man-child, then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head.
As she continued praying before the Lord, Eli the priest marked her mouth. Now Hannah spake in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunken. Eli said unto her,
How long wilt thou be drunken? Put away thy wine from thee.
No, my lord, I am a woman of a sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my soul before the Lord. Count not thine handmaid for a daughter of Belial, for out of the abundance of my complaint and grief have I spoken hitherto.
Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked of him.
Let thine handmaid find grace in thy sight.
So the woman went her way, and did eat, and her countenance was no more sad. They rose up early in the morning, and worshipped before the Lord, and returned to their house to Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah his wife, and the Lord remembered her. Wherefore it came to pass, when the time was come about after Hannah had conceived, that she bare a son, and called his name Samuel, saying,
Because I have asked him of the Lord.
And the man Elkanah and all his house went up to offer unto the Lord the yearly sacrifice, but Hannah went not up. For she said unto her husband,
I will not go up until the child be weaned, and then I will bring him, that he may appear before the Lord, and there abide forever.
Do what seemeth thee good. Tarry until thou have weaned him. Only the Lord establish his word.
So the woman abode, and gave her son suck until she weaned him. And when she had weaned him, she took him up with her, with 3 bullocks, and 1 ephah of flour, and a bottle of wine, and brought him unto the house of the Lord in Shiloh. And the child was young. And they slew a bullock, and brought the child to Eli. And she said,
O my Lord, as thy soul liveth, my Lord, I am the woman that stood by thee here, praying unto the Lord. For this child I prayed, and the Lord hath given me my petition, which I asked of him. Therefore also I have lent him to the Lord. As long as he liveth, he shall be lent to the Lord.
And he worshipped the Lord there. Then Hannah prayed and said,
My heart rejoiceth in the Lord. Mine horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth is enlarged over mine enemies, because I rejoice in thy salvation. There is none holy as the Lord, for there is none beside thee. Neither is there any rock like our God. Talk no more so exceeding proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. For the Lord is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty men are broken, and they that stumbled are girded with strength. They that were full have hired out themselves for bread, and they that were hungry ceased. So that the barren hath borne 7, and she that hath many children is waxed feeble. The Lord killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave, and bringeth up. The Lord maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up. He raiseth up the poor out of the dust, and lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among princes, and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them. He will keep the feet of his saints, and the wicked shall be silent in darkness. For by strength shall no man prevail. The adversaries of the Lord shall be broken to pieces. Out of heaven shall he thunder upon them. The Lord shall judge the ends of the earth, and he shall give strength unto his king, and exalt the horn of his anointed.
And Elkanah went to Ramah to his house, and the child did minister unto the Lord before Eli the priest. Thus ends the story of Hannah, the woman of faith and prayer, whose heart was heard in heaven, and whose son would one day anoint kings and speak for God to his people.
Adam and Eve. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and on the 6th day he created Adam, the first man, from the dust of the ground. God breathed into Adam's nostrils the breath of life, and Adam became a living soul. God placed Adam in the Garden of Eden, a paradise on earth filled with beautiful trees, sparkling rivers, and vibrant flowers. Adam's task was to dress and keep the garden, and God commanded him not to eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. One day God said, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him." And God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and while he slept, God took one of his ribs and made a woman, Eve. When Adam woke up, he saw Eve standing before him, and he was immediately drawn to her. This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh, Adam exclaimed. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Adam and Eve lived happily in the Garden of Eden, enjoying each other's company and the beauty of their surroundings. They were both naked, but they were not ashamed. One day, while they were walking in the garden, the serpent, who was more subtle than any beast of the field, approached Eve. Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? The serpent asked. Eve replied, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. The serpent sneered at Eve's words. Ye shall not surely die, he said. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Eve was tempted by the serpent's words, and she looked at the tree with new-found desire. She took of the fruit and ate, and then she gave some to Adam, who also ate. As soon as they ate the fruit, Adam and Eve's eyes were opened, and they knew that they were naked. They sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons, but they were still ashamed. When God came to walk in the garden in the cool of the day, Adam and Eve hid themselves from his presence. But God called out to Adam, Where art thou? Where art thou? Adam replied, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. God asked Adam, Who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? Adam blamed Eve, saying, The woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. God then turned to Eve and asked, What is this that thou hast done? Eve replied, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. God cursed the serpent, saying, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. God also punished Adam and Eve, saying to Adam, Because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, Thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake, in sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. To Eve God said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. And so Adam and Eve were expelled from the Garden of Eden, but God still showed them mercy and provided for them. He made coats of skins for them and clothed them, and he promised to send a Saviour to redeem them from their sin. As they left the garden, Adam turned to Eve and said, You are my wife, my partner, and my best friend. I love you, and I promise to always be there for you. Eve smiled and replied, I love you too, Adam. We may have made a mistake, but we can start anew. We can build a new life together, and we can always trust in God's love and mercy. The lights began to dissipate, giving way to a shuddering pool.
There were two brothers, Cain and Abel, the sons of Adam and Eve. Cain, the elder, was a farmer who toiled the land, while Abel, the younger, was a shepherd who tended to the flocks. Despite their differences, they both sought to honor God with their offerings. One day, Cain brought an offering of the fruits of the soil to the Lord, while Abel brought the firstborn of his flock, along with their fat portions. God looked with favor upon Abel and his offering, but he did not look with favor upon Cain and his offering. This made Cain very angry, and his face was downcast. God spoke to Cain, saying, "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." Despite God's warning, Cain's jealousy and anger grew. One day, while they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. When God asked Cain where Abel was, Cain replied, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" God knew what had happened and said to Cain, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are under a curse and driven from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield its crops for you. You will be a restless wanderer on the earth." Cain pleaded with God, fearing that anyone who found him would kill him. But God, in his mercy, placed a mark on Cain to protect him, declaring that anyone who killed Cain would suffer vengeance 7 times over. Cain then went out from the Lord's presence and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. As Cain wandered, he reflected on his actions and the consequences they brought. He realized that his jealousy and anger had led him down a dark path, and he vowed to change his ways. Over time, Cain built a city and started a family, hoping to create a better future for his descendants. Years passed, and Cain's descendants grew in number. They became skilled in various trades and arts, contributing to the development of civilization. Despite the curse that had been placed upon him, Cain worked tirelessly to ensure that his family thrived. He taught them the importance of humility, hard work, and the value of life. Cain's story became a cautionary tale passed down through generations. It served as a reminder of the destructive power of jealousy and anger, and the importance of seeking forgiveness and redemption. The mark that God had placed on Cain became a symbol of both his sin and his protection, a testament to God's mercy even in the face of wrongdoing. What have you learned? Write it in the comment section below.
In the land of Egypt, the Israelite people toiled as slaves under the harsh rule of Pharaoh. Their cries for deliverance had reached the heavens, and God, in his infinite mercy, decided to free his people. He sent Moses, a man chosen to lead the Israelites out of bondage. Moses and his brother Aaron stood before Pharaoh time and again, pleading for the release of their people, but Pharaoh's heart remained hardened. God then brought devastating plagues upon Egypt. 1. The plague of blood. Moses struck the river Nile with his staff, and all its waters turned to blood. The fish died and the rivers stank, leaving the Egyptians with no water to drink. 2. The plague of frogs. Frogs swarmed up from the rivers, canals, and ponds, invading every home and space, covering the land of Egypt. 3. The plague of lice. Aaron struck the dust of the ground, and it turned into lice, infesting humans and animals alike. 4. The plague of flies. Swarms of flies filled the houses of Pharaoh and his servants, and covered the land, causing great distress. 5. The plague of livestock. A severe pestilence struck the livestock in the fields, killing the horses, donkeys, camels, cattle, sheep, and goats of the Egyptians, while the livestock of the Israelites remained unharmed. 6. The plague of boils. Festering boils broke out on the Egyptians and their animals, afflicting them with painful sores. 7. The plague of hail. A violent hailstorm, unlike any seen before, struck Egypt. It shattered trees and crops, killed anyone and any livestock left in the fields, and devastated the land. 8. The plague of locusts. A swarm of locusts covered the land, devouring every plant and tree that survived the hail, leaving nothing green in Egypt. 9. The plague of darkness. A thick darkness fell over Egypt for 3 days. No one could see or move, but the Israelites had light in their dwellings. 10. The plague of the firstborn. Finally, God proclaimed the death of all firstborn sons in Egypt. Each Israelite household was to take a lamb, perfect and without blemish, and sacrifice it. The lamb's blood was to be smeared on the doorposts and the lintel of their homes as a sign of faith and obedience. At midnight the Lord struck down all the firstborn in Egypt. But in the homes marked by the lamb's blood, the angel passed over, and the firstborn of Israel were spared. Pharaoh, broken by the loss of his own firstborn, called for Moses and Aaron that night. "Rise up and get you forth from among my people," he said, his voice trembling with grief. "Take your flocks and herds and be gone, and bless me also." With haste the Israelites gathered their belongings. They wrapped dough in their kneading troughs, for there was no time for it to rise, and departed in the dead of night. God led them with a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night, guiding them to freedom. As they journeyed, the Israelites marked this event with an annual celebration, the Passover, to remember their deliverance from Egypt. It became a symbol of God's enduring faithfulness and the start of their journey to the Promised Land. And so, the story of Passover was told from generation to generation, a testament to the power of faith, the strength of community, and the boundless mercy of God.